When you think about your booth experience, just looking back, is there a particular class that stands out to you, one that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, there's actually quite a few, but if I had to narrow it down to one, it was actually the class that probably got me interested in business school in the first place, and it was behavioral economics. And so Richard Thaler is the founder, or like the father of behavioral economics, and a Nobel winner from the University of Chicago. And so when I kind of put the two and two together, and I actually remember listening to a Planet Money podcast on behavioral economics, and I was like, this is so cool. You mean to tell me that there's not only science and like math, but there's like, you can prove it, like how people behave? Like, this is really cool. And so it was one of the first classes that I wanted to take, and I didn't take it until my second year, but it was so worth it. And it was this incredible, like, coming of minds of people who really cared to understand the psychology behind the decisions that we all make, supported by, this idea of like the rational person, the rational human, and the choices that they're going to make sometimes aren't the choices that we all make day in and day out. And so just really listening to my professor, Professor Pope, really support us. I actually ended up having a really great relationship with him after the fact. And so a couple of classmates and I actually messaged him throughout the pandemic to say, hey, can we just like get your thoughts on what's going on? Like, why is everyone hoarding toilet paper? Like, there's got to be a behavioral reason for that. And so it was actually it was great. So Devin Pope was my professor, and he was awesome. And so it was just a really great experience to be able to put kind of this like really tough academic like science matched with some of the softer skills and like softer thinking of why do people behave the way that they do. And so it was one of my favorite classes, and I would highly recommend it to anybody that's thinking about booth.
Yeah, a lot of people say that they really enjoy the interaction between, let's say psychology and business. So it sounds like, that's the perfect example of that. And so I'm glad you had the opportunity to take that class.
Yeah.
Is there anything outside the classroom at booth that really stood out to you?
So I think the community is a huge one, but I think to put it a little bit more concretely, it's all the student orgs.
Yeah.
So there's orgs for just about everything, right? So there's student orgs based on your interests and the things that you want to spend your free time doing, but there's also a ton of student orgs based on, your academic and career aspirations. And so I was really involved in kind of both ends of those. I really wanted to build this network of peers and really create a social group of folks that I could take with me in the years beyond booth. And thankfully, I feel like I've done that. And then really lean on people that are like-minded and thinking about things in a maybe challenged way than my own, but having that partnership with peers. So to be a little bit more specific, on the social side, I was part of our wine club, loved doing all wine club events. It was great to like learn from sommeliers and really just enjoy having a glass or two or five a week, which was really fun with classmates. And then on the academic side, or I should say the interest side, there was a couple of groups that I was involved in. So initially I went in thinking that I wanted to explore healthcare from the management consulting side. So I was part of the management consulting group, and I was also part of our healthcare group. And my second year ended up being one of the co-chairs for it. And so both of those experiences were really great in helping form kind of just what it is that I wanted in my career post-booth. And so when you think about healthcare, there's so many different ways that you can go, and consulting was one of them. And fortunately or unfortunately, kind of depends on how you look at it. But I think for myself, fortunately, decided that consulting was not the direction that I wanted to go in. But just kind of meeting again those people that had a thinking or a career aspiration that were similar to my own. It was great to just bounce ideas off of them. And my first year, I was able to lead our healthcare trek out to the West Coast, and was able to come out to Northern California, and we went and visited a number of different companies like Genentech and Pfizer and some really great startups in the Bay Area to help kind of just mold like what and where do I want to kind of invest my recruiting energy. And so that was just an awesome experience.
That sounds great. And it's actually pretty related to my next question is, what are a couple of ways in which you feel that business school prepared you for life post MBA?
Business school's hard. It is like 2 years of of a lot of fun and networking and building relationships, but it's also just concentrated time for you to figure out what you want to do with your life. And so I think there's a lot of skills that I learned. I think some really important life skills, like how to deal with rejection and disappointment, I think is so important. You're not always going to get that BCG job that you really want, or even that like job at another company that you had your heart set on. And so I think just like learning how to deal with rejection, also learning how to be human and compassionate for the people that are in a similar circumstance to you, and understanding and knowing that your classmates are not your competition, but they're your peers and folks that are here to support you. So that was, I think, a really like human set of skill sets that I really learned. And then I think on the other end, Booth is a really academically rigorous place to be. And so just getting yourself to a place where you're organized, you're focused, you know how to study. Case method is not always something that comes easy to folks. And so just learning how to prepare for your these really interesting conversations and discussions that you may have, and then also learning to disagree for the sake of learning is really interesting and important. And then on top of kind of the recruiting side and then the academic side, it's just balancing a really busy schedule and learning how to prioritize what's most important. And I think those are all skills that you can take into the real world to help you just be a leader. And that's what a lot of your post MBA life is going to be. It's going to be in leadership. And so how do you deal with rejection? How do you get yourself organized? What do you do in order to prepare, and kind of deal with this like hectic set of competing priorities between social and professional and what, you name it. So I think there's a ton of academic skill sets that you take away from it, and just a lot of learning, but there's all of these soft skills that maybe you don't have beforehand, you're forced to figure out in the 2 years that you're there.
It sounds like it was an intense, but a really rewarding experience for you. So
yeah, definitely. That's exactly what I would say.
And tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days.
Like I said, I came to business school with the intention of finding my way back into healthcare and finding kind of what in healthcare I really cared about. And so while in school, I think I must have held 3 different internships while I was in classes.
Oh,
so I did my summer internship at Genentech in the finance rotational program. And so kind of went in with the initial idea of like, do I want to work on the pharma side of things? Is that something that I care about? And very quickly realized that like I want a more personal connection and touch with the end user. And in this case, it's going to be patients. And so that realization helped me figure out like, well, how do I want to be patient facing? Do I want to be patient facing from maybe a payer side, or do I want to do it from provider side, or do I want to do it from, the combination of both? And so coming out of my MBA, I actually went straight to Oak Street Health, which was founded in Chicago and has a very strong presence there. And so Oak Street Health was this value-based care organization that has now just grown tremendously. And so I had the privilege and honor of being part of the launch team in Dallas-Fort Worth. And so I got to open 6 clinics there. And so had this really incredible experience of being patient-facing and really supporting both providers and care teams alike in giving care to the most vulnerable population of seniors that really deserved care. And so I really loved that experience, and it helped me understand just like, where do I want to see my career grow? And I most recently transitioned out of Oak Street Health into another company called Wellbe Health in California. Wellbe gets to do all of the things that I loved about Oak Street Health, just at a deeper extent, and we practice what's called the PACE program. So the PACE is the Program for All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. And so we get to provide PCP support, rehab support, social work support, in-home care at skilled and unskilled. We take our participants, we call them participants, our patients, to and from their external appointments to our site, where we do social activities and just give our most vulnerable seniors, who are the most frail in our communities, a place to be, a place to call home, and get care that's world class. And so I love what I get to do, and I'm our executive director. I oversee our site and all of the arms that I just described.
That's excellent. Wow. And it sounds like you're making a real impact in an area that you've had a passion for a long time. I remember when we were working together and we would talk about the healthcare system and how there are many opportunities for people to get, the consistent and excellent care that they deserved. And so it sounds like you're,
Absolutely.
applying what you learned in your Booth MBA and really harnessing that passion
Yeah.
to make positive change. And do you, keep in touch with, a lot of your classmates today?
Yeah, I mean, I met my husband in business school and
Oh,
count
yes.
myself so lucky and we met at the very tail end. And
Oh, wow.
so because, yeah, and so because of that, we have like a ton of independent business school friends and a ton of mutual business school friends. And so we actually just got married 2 months ago today. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And probably the largest cohort of people at the wedding were our booth classmates. And so probably of the like 300 people we had invited, 100 were from business school. So a ton of really great friends and people that I think are going to be a part of our lives for forever.
That is wonderful.